Well, hi there, everyone. Today we have the wonderful Tui Boyes, and she's going to be talking about habits of mind. So I can't wait to introduce her to you. She is a champion for lifelong learning. She was New Zealand Speaker of the Year in 2019. She runs Spectrum Education, the Teachers Matter magazines, Teachers Matter summits. She is an all-round amazing person, and I'm so glad to have her here today. Hi there, Karen.
Hi, I must have written that.
Actually, so welcome today. So you're going to be talking to us about habits of mind. But before that, I just want to grab a quick thought about what are the challenges that you see in the current education system?
Oh, wow. How long have we got? Hello, Cathy.
Just one or two.
Or two?
Yeah.
I was just talking at a big conference last week, and one of the things I talked about to the teachers particularly was that, we've lied to our students over and over again their whole entire life about what education is about. And we tell them learning is fun. Go to school, it'll be fun. Learning is fun. And it's a huge lie, because learning is not fun. Learning is hard, it is difficult. Stretching your brain is a struggle for many, and trying to put things together, and we don't give them enough time for the actual learning process to happen. So learning is not fun. We need to make sure we tell our children that learning is hard, learning is challenging, learning is difficult, because otherwise what happens, well, let me ask you this, Cathy. I'm just going to go back a little. Are you a list writer? Do you write lists?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
you're not a list writer. Okay, I'm going to ask the audience. Are you a list writer? Do you write lists? Because if the answer is yes, have you ever gone to cross something off your list that you've done and it's not there? What do? Well, you put it on the list just so you can cross it off. There is no logical reason for this, but there is a physiological reason, because when you cross something off your list, it makes you feel good. Oh, I'm clever. I've done that. Now, kids go home at school, independent activities, they learn what they already know, or go over what they already know, because it's not learning, because it makes them feel good. And their voice inside the head says, gosh, I'm clever. Gosh, I'm amazing. I'm incredible. I know this stuff, except that they already knew it. If they start going over the things they don't know, the things they need to learn, then the internal voice changes, and it changes to, what if I don't know this? What if I fail? This is hard. What if they find out I'm not as smart as they tell me I am, the imposter syndrome, and then our kids start feeling really rotten and think there's something wrong with them. But that is the feeling of learning. That's why we cross stuff off the list and do the things we really like, because it makes us feel good. Learning doesn't make us feel good, and kids need to know that. It's difficult, it's hard, it's challenging. Hope I answered that okay.
Yeah, no, that was a great answer. Really, really amazing. Thank you for that, because it's not always easy. And then we develop that sense of resilience and so on. That's so important, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okie dokie. So today we're going to be talking about the habits of mind. And I know it's one of your favorite topics. So first question, what are the habits of mind?
Well, the habits of mind are 16 behaviors, dispositions that were discovered because it's all about, what do you do when you don't know what to do? What do you do when you're stuck? What do you do when the answer isn't immediately apparent? And there are 16 of these. And I believe, Cathy, that people can download this. I don't know if is the link down below?
Yes, yes,
But you can download this card, because here are the 16 habits. And so it's a little bit harder to see on the screen, but download it, and then you can follow along with us, or download it afterwards, because they are the 16 behaviors of intelligent people, of successful people, and what they do when they're stuck and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a really useful tool, isn't it? What we do when we're stuck, and we can go to them and be able to go, okay, I'll try that one there and see how that works.
Because if learning, I'm going to go back, because if learning is hard and it's not always easy, then you're going to get stuck. Then you're going to have problems, and you need to have strategies and dispositions to be able to get yourself out of that so you can be successful.
Mm. And that's not only just in study, is it? These are life skills
No,
we're talking about.
life skills. Look, as a parent, how many times have you said, I wish this came with a manual, or they didn't come with a manual? There are challenges in our life all the time, in your job, everywhere we go, we're going to face challenges. And there's an interesting philosopher, Buckminster Fuller, from the 20th century that says, once you've learned how to get through one challenge, you'll be given a bigger challenge. So you never get a problem to solve or a challenge that's smaller than the previous one. They always get bigger.
Mm, And then we can use those skills that we've developed there. So let's think about the 16 dispositions then and think about where they came from. Where did they come from?
Yeah, so they come from two incredible people who I am blessed to say are my friends and my mentors now, and that is Professor Art Costa and Dr. Benna Kellick. So these two really started to wonder, are there teachable behaviours? They wondered what makes successful people successful, and then they said if there are certain behaviours, characteristics, if there are certain dispositions, then can we actually teach those? And they first of all found 7, then they found 9, then they found 12, and now there are 16. And we're not saying there's only 16, there could be many more, but these tend to be the 16 that encapsulate nearly everything else and are the ones that we can explicitly teach and we can help people to use when they're stuck and they don't know what to do.
So can you give us some examples of them? I know we've got them on the front of the page there, but what are your favorite ones within those 16?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm allowed a favorite, but
Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. Just tell us.
They are.
They are.
Okay, so I do have a favorite. I'm not going to start with that though. I'm going to start with the first one because that is persisting. And persistence is a really important skill when you're stuck and you don't know what to do. Being able to keep going and keep going. If plan A doesn't work, you try plan B. If plan B doesn't work, you try C, D, and E. So it's about having a basket full of strategies. It's about having a lot of different ways to solve a problem. For instance, in a classroom, a teacher might say, who has another way to solve this? Who has another way? Who has another way? So they build up a basket full of strategies. I know that if there are any parents watching, often I hear parents go, I don't understand that maths in school. Maths is just too confusing now. It's not the way we did it in our day, and it's not. And there is no right or wrong way to do maths. It's just a different way. So they're different strategies. And so your strategy might work for you. Someone else's strategy might work for them. So it is about persisting and being able to push through and try something different, However, there is a wonderful strategy that I absolutely love when it comes to persisting, and it sounds a little counterintuitive, but that is to take a break. Now, I'm not sure if anyone else has been to Candy Crush Rehab like I have. I've been to Candy Crush Rehab twice. It's very sad, but I'm all over Candy Crush, and I'm over it. I don't need to do Candy Crush ever in my life, but I do have another game, and I only ever have one game on my phone at a time, and that is Wordscapes. Now, do you know this game, Cathy?
I do. I do
Yeah.
know.
Do you have it on your phone?
No, it's one that I deleted off.
Yeah. So I only have one at a time, and I am up to level 6,000. So I'm a little bit obsessive about leveling up. I love winning, and that feeling when you complete a level. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, what's the reason I'm telling you this? Oh, that when I get to a puzzle that I just can't think of the words, or I can't work them out, or I have no idea. And by the way, I need to tell you, I'm the worst speller in the world. So my language is pretty good, but there's a lot of words they use that I actually don't know. So sometimes what I have to do, instead of just pushing and getting frustrated that I can't work out the words, is I take a break and I just go, hey, let me step away from it. Let me switch it off, and I'll come back to it maybe in the afternoon or the evening or the next day. And there's something magic happens. Boom, my brain just goes, there's the word. Have you ever experienced that, Cathy?
I've experienced that a lot, and it is so powerful, isn't it? We can get so frustrated, but just the taking a break, and it's amazing because our brains keep working on it while
Yes.
we're doing other things. Our brains keep working, and they know what it is.
Subconscious mind is incredible. So that's what we take a break from something when it's getting challenging, when it's getting tough, walk away and then come back and then have a look at it again. And sometimes just walking around the house 3 times is enough, or the classroom 3 times is enough. And sometimes you need a slightly longer break. So that's probably that's the first one. Just some quick ideas about persisting.
Mm. I think my favorite one is about awe and wonder.
Oh, well, that's my favorite. I was going to leave that one a little bit longer, but anyway, let's do that one now. I love wonderment and awe, and this ability to be able to stop and see the beauty, the incredibleness of what is around us, because we live these busy, 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 busy lives, and we often wear busy like a badge. It's like, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm busy. And I want to challenge people, if you're going around saying, oh, I'm busy, I want you to start saying productive. I've been productive today rather than busy, because we can be busy, busy, busy doing nothing. So, like playing wordscapes on my phone. It's not production time, it's busy work. But I want to make sure the viewers know that you can have a wow moment at any time of the day. So, Cathy, I want you to do this with me. I want you to make a W with one hand, right, and a W with the other. I hope the viewers are doing this. Put it up to your mouth. Open your mouth wide and go, wow, W-O-W.
Wow.
Anytime you want in your life, you can just go and have a wow moment. And if you are sitting in a boring classroom or a boring meeting, then you can even do something that my friend Rowie does. And she sits in the chair and she makes her bottom spell the word wow, W-O-W. You can't see my bottom right now, but in the chair, she just spells the word wow and puts a wee smile on her face, and has a wee wow moment when she's not, not feeling the love or not feeling the excitement that should be there. So you can make wow moments by just stopping and seeing the dewdrop on the leaf, by stopping and seeing the incredibleness of a spider's web, and I realized this the other day. I cut ginger up and have a ginger and lemon drink every single morning, and I realized I wasn't stopping in the wow of the smell of the ginger. I was just sticking it in and putting the hot water in and then drinking it, and it's like actually just stopping and go, oh, that smells so good. And it's just stopping and just connecting. So it's perhaps also got a connection to being more mindful of what we're doing in our world.
It's to do with mindfulness, it's to do with gratitude, isn't it? And it's to do with just focusing on the positive things, because one of the things I've found, and I know you have as well, is that if we can stop and focus on the positive things, whether that's in our classrooms, whether it's as teachers, whether it's as parents, whether it's as young people, if we can focus on the positive, then those things will grow in our lives. And that's why I love this awe and wonderment.
Absolutely. And I need to say, Cathy, I've been challenged lately around this focusing on the positive. And so I want to be really clear that focusing on the positive doesn't mean you're a Pollyanna all the time. It just means that you want what you have, and that you appreciate what you have. It doesn't mean that you can't have more. It doesn't mean that you settle for what you've got and go, this is enough. It just means that we want what we have, and then we have desires and needs for other things. But when you focus on what you've got, then you can you have a different sense of well-being inside you, so that you can then get more of it.
And I think it helps build that persistence as well,
Yes.
which is the first one that you talked about there, is if we've
Yeah.
got that positive energy flowing, it helps us to be able to get through the next step. So the next question then is, how might a teacher use these in their classrooms or with themselves?
Well, all of us can use these for ourselves. So for instance, a teacher needs to perhaps manage their impulsivity in a classroom environment. So when things go a bit pear-shaped, when things don't go the way you want, sometimes you have to actually manage yourself and not say what you really want to say, not react the way that perhaps you really want to act. And I need to say that managing impulsivity, it's normal to be impulsive. So if you're walking in Australia in the bush and you see something long and brown and squiggly on the track, then it's important to be impulsive and stop. It's probably a snake, right? And so you need to be able to stop, freeze. It's a survival mechanism. However, if you realize it's just a stick, then you can move on. So part of the impulsivity in us is a survival mechanism. But in the classroom, we need to be able to be aware of two things: our own impulsivity and being able to take that moment to think about what we're going to say. And then secondly, our children's impulsivity. And so sometimes, if somebody gets pushed and pushed and pushed to the point where they can't stand it anymore, sometimes a survival mechanism is just to do this. And it might be more of a impulse, a survival impulse, rather than a purposeful movement. So it's, you have to learn which is which. But in a classroom, there's one major strategy that a teacher can do to help manage their impulsivity. And that is some fascinating research that shows that when a teacher asks a question in a classroom, the average teacher waits 1 second before they do one of three things. They either call upon a student to answer the question, they answer the question themselves, or they ask a new question. Now, 1 second is not enough time for thinking to occur. I know this because when I say to my husband, "Hey, honey, have you seen my keys?" He just goes, "No." And I say to him, "Sweetheart, you're married to Karen Boyes. You had no think time." And so he has to answer. I have to ask the question in a different way. I have to ask, "Honey, before you answer this question, please step through every room in the house in your mind. Have you seen my keys?" And he goes, "No." I'm like, or "Yes, they're on the coffee table." So at least I know now he's had time to think about it. And now I know there's somebody listening, Cathy, who's going to say, "Why don't you just leave your keys in the same place all the time?" I just want to let you know I'm not perfect. All right. So I don't always leave my keys in the same place all the time. And I know if I did, it would be easier. But the point is, in a classroom, when we ask a question, we want to wait between 7 and 10 seconds. It's a really long time. They might have thought the screen had frozen there for a moment. But it's a really long time to be quiet in a classroom. And if you're working with the little ones, they will look at you and say, "Don't you know the answer?" And if you're working with the big ones, they will say, "Is this a new technique?" Why are you waiting? Why aren't you just carrying on? But this wait time is extremely important to be able to help our learners to be able to take time to think, because that's what we want in the classroom. We want them to think through the problems. We want them to think through the solutions, think through their own opinions and ideas. So wait time is one strategy.
Absolutely. And what I've seen is very effective after that is just to ask the same question again. If nobody is still responding, is to just be able to ask the same question again. They've got the thinking time. You're not telling them the answer. They know some stuff.
Yeah, but I'm a master at wait time. I tell you what happens if you don't even ask the question again and you just someone will have to say something. And so, but tendency, it's the teacher who breaks the silence first. So let the students break that silence. So become a master. If it takes a minute, my friend in Australia says, you wait until it hurts and then you wait some more. Oh, it's powerful.
Absolutely. Okay. What about the students? Like, how can we, so this is all stuff that you've been talking about the teachers using those habits of mind. How can we help the students, the young people, other people in our lives to use these habits of mind daily?
So first of all of them can be taught explicitly. So that's really important to know, that we can teach these. So you're not just born knowing how to persist. You're not just born with great language. You're not just born with wonderment and awe. Well, actually, you are. That one. But you're not born with all of these. So we'll all have ones that we do more naturally. And then we can explicitly teach strategies for the others. So for instance, striving for accuracy. In our world in this 21st century, we need accuracy and precision because, think about air traffic control. You can't go home and say, I landed 99% of my planes today. 99% is not okay. 100% of the planes, 100% of the time must land safely. Think about taking your car to a mechanic. You want 100% accuracy. You don't want to drive down the road and a wheel fall off or parts of the engine fall out. You need 100% accuracy. Think about the hairdresser. When you get your hair done, you want 100% accuracy. You don't want them to go, oh, she'll be right, or 50% is enough, which is, by the way, another lie that our school taught us, because the school system was predicated and based on the UK system that said, let's fail 50% of them so they'll work in the factories. So 50% was a pass. In the 21st century, 50% is not enough. Imagine if you're even just serving in a cafe and you're just nice to 50% of the customers. People aren't going to come back. You have to be nice to all of them. So whether they're nice to you or not. So striving for accuracy is a really important skill. And so our students need to learn this one. And this is probably the craftsmanship of our grandparents' generation, this ability to work and work and work on something until it was great. My mother and father, they always strove for accuracy in what they did, right down to the way my mother puts cakes on a plate. It's like an art form. It's beautiful. So not just shove them on there, but it's just like she just takes that extra moment of care to strive to make it the best that she can be. So in the classroom, actually, I heard my son once say when he'd finished his homework, I said, have you checked it? And he said, no, that's the teacher's job. He's still alive. So, of course, it's not the teacher's job. It's your job. But actually, teachers, you have become the accuracy checkers of the 21st century. Just for the teachers, while you're marking students' work, do you know what they're doing? Cathy, do you know what the kids are doing while the teachers are doing all the marking?
Playing games.
Having a life. They're out there having a life, and teachers are going, I don't have a life. We need to switch those roles. So instead, ask students to go back and check for the accuracy. Ask them to see, and students, before you hand something in, it's like rereading it. This is like a novel concept for many students. Go back and reread. Go back and check. Get somebody else to check. In fact, the C3 before me is like hand it into 3 people. Get them to buddy check it for you so that you don't have to be, because it's actually quite hard to find your own mistakes. I just published a brand new book, and I found my mum actually found the mistake, because I must have read it 100 times. I had others read it too, and it could have just been in the final formatting that it happened, but the name Justin is Justin gap-in. So just in, and it doesn't make sense when you read it that way. But if you just read Justin, it would be okay. So it's hard to proof your own work. So this is an important strategy to be able to go back and just double check, maybe having a checklist of all the things you need to go through and check. But the important thing is, this is not about perfection. This is about progress. Is your work this time better than it was last time?
And no matter what, we are going to need to be able to do things in our lives, to be able to produce reports, to be able to do presentations and so on, that we are going to want to be right. And so it does matter. It's starting to put those habits Coming back to the habits of mind again, starting to put those habits into place, isn't it?
Yeah. And I guess it's not about being right. It's about striving to be the best that we can be. So it's not necessarily, it's the striving for, which is the most important part of that particular habit, not the, well, accuracy is important, but striving to be as accurate as we can. Yeah.
And I really like that as well, because that's again that growth, and a lot of people are talking about that growth mindset, the ongoing learning that's part of our lives. And so, we're always striving to get better in particular areas, and we can see that progress, and that also helps make us feel happy, doesn't it?
Yes.
Any other thoughts about when our students might need some of those habits of mind?
Oh, I'm just thinking, going back to that managing impulsivity earlier, students, be very careful when you are posting things online, because think about the long-term consequences of what you post on social media. I don't know if many students know this, but if you're going for a job interview, 99% of the time, the prospective employer will have checked your social media feed. They will have checked, what are you putting online? What are you like outside of the workplace? What are you like in your own personal life? Now, this may not be fair, because who you are at home may be different to who you are at school, may be different to who you are in a workplace. However, they're still going to check. So manage your impulsivity with what you are posting online, and make sure that it's putting you in the best light. So let me think of another one. Thinking and communicating with clarity and precision. We've grown up in a world of text language where we shorten words when we don't spell words correctly. However, when you are putting a job application together, you need to communicate with clarity and precision. You need to use great language and be able to really explain what you are doing. I am appalled, it's the only word I can use, appalled at how many people send me a cover letter for a job that is the same cover letter they've sent for the last 16 jobs they've applied for, and it's not personalized. And the spelling is wrong, the grammar is wrong. Now, it's particularly important for me when I work with teachers. I need someone who has great language and great grammar and great articulation of their thoughts. But you'll be judged by that. So many of these habits are important long-term, and not just for school.
I'm sitting here thinking of the number of times in my life that communicating with clarity has been so important, whether it's mainly presentations actually to different people when explaining what it is that you do, or why something is really important. The clarity and precision is such a key part of that.
Yeah. And Cathy, sorry to interrupt, and think about marriage. Clarity and communication has to be one of the most important things that when we're in a marriage or in a relationship, because it's constant. We're having to make sure what we say and what we mean are the same things, and it's often misinterpreted, particularly when we're tired or we're angry or we are busy and we don't communicate properly, and that causes a lot of the problems. So yeah, you're right.
Yes, and I can extend that one on as well into the work that I do with teams, where so much, 99.9% of the issues faced in teams comes down to communication, and that miscommunication. Oh, but I didn't mean that. You said it. And that's the thing, is that once the words have been said, they can't actually be unsaid. So if we can take the time to think about it beforehand, is this actually what we mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, you've given us some really, really good examples there of those habits of mind in action. Is there any one last habit of mind in action that you'd like to share?
Yeah, Cathy, I dropped the card, so I'm going to drop down and get it and then choose one. Hold on. Wait, this is like suspense. Hold on.
Right.
Ta-da! All right. Sorry. You see, I love doing this. Oh, look, there's so many. finding humor is about resilience, is about being able to laugh at yourself like I just did, because, it's not that professional to drop your thing when you're being interviewed. But hey, you find some humor and that makes you more resilient. So that one's great. Being able to think flexibly, being able to look from other perspectives and other people's perspectives, that thing about walking in someone's moccasins and being able to see it from their point of view. That one is so, so important in our lives. If there was one that was I would want to finish on, it would be creating, imagining, and innovating. In the 21st century, this is what Sir Ken Robinson said was the gold of the 21st century: being able to create and imagine and do something different. If 40%, which is what the futurists say, of our children are going to be self-employed, to have any form of employment in the future, then they're actually going to need to be able to be creative and imaginative and innovative, because you can't copy somebody else's business and just do that. You have to find a niche, you have to find something different, and you have to find maybe a pain point and then fill that pain point for people. So this ability to create and imagine, and often people think, oh, I'm not creative, but creativity isn't about painting or making something. It's about maybe taking two unrelated ideas and bringing them together and seeing some correlation between them. It's about doing some research. One of my favorite authors is Jodi Picoult. I never know how to say her last name. My favorite pages in her books are actually the acknowledgement page. I'd like to acknowledge the museum of this, the lawyers of this, the doctors at this hospital, because the research she does is absolutely incredible. And then she creates from a real base a fiction story. And sometimes, of course, the fiction and the real is blurred, so you don't quite know where that is. But one of the key things is that none of these habits of mind stand alone. That to be able to be creative and imaginative and innovative, you also have to be a responsible risk taker. To be creative, imaginative, and innovative, you have to be able to persist, maybe think flexibly, maybe communicate with clarity and precision. These are all intertwined. So even though on the card they all look like they're individual, this is this huge web of strategies and ideas.
And I think that's an absolutely beautiful way to finish, because that's so much part of what we're doing. So Ken Robinson was one of the first people that started talking about the importance of changing the education system. And that's exactly what we're having to do right now, is to look at what's working, but what's not working, and what do we need our wonderful young people, what do we need our teachers, what do we need our parents to be able to know about. So looking forward to hearing more and seeing what creativity comes from all of the wonderful things that people are bringing to this and to the conversations that people are having around the world as well. So I'm going to leave you with a last question today, but thank you so, so much for coming and sharing your wonderful knowledge, your passion, your inspiration around those 16 habits of mind. And I really hope that people spend some time with them. I've seen the power of them in my children's lives, because my older two children were really lucky. The intermediate school they were at was using them at the time that they were at school. And it was neat to hear them talking about it as well. So thank you so much for sharing that today.
My pleasure. So go to the Facebook page, and I'm going to ask you this question. What is habit of mind that you need to work on, that you want to be able to improve when you're stuck, when you don't know what to do? So share those ideas with us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Karen.
My pleasure.